Welcome to a Song of Ice and Fire Symposium. My name is Nav, and my pronouns are they, them.
And my name's Harmit, and my pronouns are Hershey, like the chocolate.
And this is A Feast for Crows, chapters 37 and 38. In these chapters, Biter bites Brienne.
And Brendan burns my baby, Jaime.
Yay, we did it.
You
We
guys
finally got to the end of that.
And I just realized
It only took us literally half an hour to figure that out.
Okay. And my baby and Jaime rhyme. So even though at the end we switched from alliteration to rhyme, so it's okay because we're still cool.
This is why we're not songwriters or poets. Welcome to the podcast, everyone. So, Harmit, who died in these chapters?
No one.
That's not true.
No one. Okay. Brienne did not die.
Yeah, but she killed someone.
Oh, yes, she did. She killed, Vargo.
What? Vargo has been dead. You really did not realize who that was, because they never name him.
Isn't it Vargo?
Vargo Hoat was fed to himself by the mountain.
Oh, okay. Well, it was one of the other mummers, right? Because that was who they talked.
Rorge and Biter. Remember them from the end of
Okay.
book 1 or early book 2?
I was literally gonna ask you if Biter's here, where's Rorge?
Okay, that's Rorge.
That's why Biter reacted. I was also gonna ask you why Biter cared so much about Vargo.
You were gonna ask me. You knew to ask me about Rorge, but you didn't put it
Yes!
together that that's Rorge.
Hey, I told you, my brain can only get there like 65% of the way. I've told you this
I
many
thought it
times.
used to be 70. It's slowly decreasing.
No, it fluctuates depending on whether I succeed.
You were like, I'm aiming for B's, but now you're just aiming for the C+.
Literally. No, it's cause okay, here's why I keep forgetting that Vargo's dead, which is on me. But here's why I also thought it was Vargo. Because didn't we, when she defeated the other guys?
No, Vargo Hoat had that, lisp. Remember?
Right, yes. Okay, because here's...
And he was never this big.
Okay.
And Rorge was the one, when she says sapphires, Rorge was in that situation there.
I thought that was Vargo, which is what was...
Well, Vargo was there too, but Rorge was also there.
But that's literally what, in my head, air quotes, confirmed that it was Vargo, was sapphires. Because the whole time I was like, oh, this is Vargo. And then when she said sapphires, I was like, bingo, it's definitely Vargo.
So you totally forgot that. You've forgotten that he's dead 5 times already. The guy was fed to himself, okay? That's not an easy thing to forget. Let him rest in his unpeace or whatever.
Is all of the Harrenhal people feel the same, and all of their stories are combined in my head. I did, however, know that it was Gendry before they said it was Gendry. So I had a major win and a major loss in this.
Yeah, that was...
I was like, oh my god, it's Gendry, and he looks like Renly. And Brienne is traumatized.
Why are we rhyming everything now?
Just because we're Dr. Seuss, we're out here. Anyway, but yeah, okay. I fully was like, this is Vargo Hoat, my man. I was literally gonna ask you, why does Biter care so much? And where's Rorge? Because I was like, oh yeah, oh, he must be with them too, right? Was he one of the other people she described? Oh my god. So they're besties or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's dead.
Glad we had that revelation.
Now that we've sorted, he's
But
dead.
also, Biter is Biter dead?
Ain't no way. This man is a menace. This man is some fucking...
So okay. what does this mean to you? It was, okay, it'll not matter if he eats me. Biter threw back his head and opened his mouth again, howling, and stuck his tongue out at her. It was sharply pointed, dripping blood, longer than any tongue should be, sliding from his mouth out and out and out, red and wet and glistening. It made a hideous sight obscene. His tongue is a foot long, Brienne thought, just before the darkness took her. Why, it looks almost like a sword.
So someone, like, stuck, like, Oath Keeper into him?
Yeah, like, probably Hyle has, severed his head.
I guess.
Or not severed, but, like...
I guess.
That's a sword sticking out of his head. Like, you don't really survive that.
Yeah, I guess I just kind of was like, this feels too good to be true. Like, did they really? Because especially, like, as soon as it was like this weird thing with that chapter where, like, Brienne was, like, girl bossing and slaying, literally. And then, as things started going south for her, that's... But I don't think it's Hyle.
Okay, then who do you think it is?
Maybe Gendry?
Right. The only reason I think it's Hyle is because Gendry doesn't have a sword yet.
I think because she doesn't, like, she lost control of Oathkeeper, so I think he's using Oathkeeper.
Oh, okay. You know what? That could make sense. That would be cool.
Yeah, and I think the other reason was just, like, I didn't know Biter was like this, you know what I mean? Like, I knew he, like, bit people, but I didn't know that it was, like, this intense and, like, wild. So I just also was like, I mean, maybe he could...
They did keep him in a cage.
Yeah. So I think my thing was more that, like, I honestly was like, maybe he could survive the sword. Like, I was
really?
I was kind of worried about that. That's what I mean when I'm like, oh, I was kind of expecting the worst.
Okay. Well, unless he pulls out some supernatural abilities, I'm gonna assume he's dead.
Okay. He just, like, I think he just scares me.
Okay, that's fair.
So, like, hold on. Let me see if there was anything in the chapter that... Yeah, I think I just, as soon as she was, like, Biter crushed into her, I was like, where did this bitch come from? Like, and then I was like, oh yeah, he was with the fucking people. Yeah, there was just a few moments that just, like, yeah, it just, like, his teeth being, like, filed into points, and, like,
yeah,
him, like, and at one point she's talking about how she, like, when she, slices, like, her blade across his tummy, like, she's talking about, like, something warm and wet gushed between her fingers. And I know George R. R. Martin does that a lot for blood, but it just wasn't reading blood because it was Biter. So I just kind of was like, so by the time I got to that ending of the chapter, I just kind of was like, okay, but, like, are we sure this isn't just Biter? Like, he's creepy as hell. This last page and a half of him have been, like, just disturbing.
Like, he just happens to have, like, an extra long tongue.
Not necessarily extra long tongue, but, like, whatever's going on, like, he'll be fine, sort of thing. But, I don't know, that's just kind of how I read it, because I was scared. And I was reading really quickly because I was scared. I love that we're just talking about the chapter now.
Okay, so let's back up. Did anybody else die? We heard about all the owners of the inn that, like, the innkeeps that have died over the ages.
Sad vibes. Did anyone die in Jaime's? I mean, all I can say is not yet, but a lot of people are kind of on the precipice of death.
Okay, like who?
Well, like, okay. Hold on, wait. Why was I saying that? Well, like, I always think that Jaime's life is in danger.
Okay, from whom?
Just, like, everyone around him. I just feel like he's gonna take one misstep. People are gonna realize that he ain't got the fighting abilities he got before. Like, I know that he's technically, like, acting as the crown right now, so it would be, like, literally illegal to, like, try and kill him, but, like, you know, I don't put it past people. And also, like, this whole thing of, like, you know, if they end up going through with the raid or whatever, like, hopefully they don't. Or maybe they don't. Not hopefully, but, like, maybe they don't.
Like, they raid the castle?
Yeah. That would be concerning.
Right.
I don't think, like, they might not. They might sort of thing, but...
I mean, he seems to have another alternative currently.
Yeah, exactly. And Edmure, like, I know he's setting him free, but, like, Edmure's been on the brink of death a couple times over this last little while. Yeah, I think the Riverrun chapters are just kind of giving death. Like, even though nobody has died yet, they're just kind of giving death. Like,
okay, so it's like Jaime Edmure people are the ones in danger. None of the people that we want actually dead are in danger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, possibly Brendan. Brendan definitely feels like a very, like, I don't care what you say, Edmure, like, you know, I'm gonna put my sword where my mouth is.
I'm gonna put my sword where my mouth
like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a fun expression that you came up with.
Yeah. But, yeah. But also, who knows? Yeah, anyway, I feel like I'm not making a lot of sense, but those are my thoughts on who's dead.
Okay, so those are who died. Maybe we'll come upon somebody that we're both forgetting, but it's fine. Mm-hmm. What did you think about these chapters?
They were fun. These were spicy. I didn't love Brienne's chapter because I was kind of scared for her life, but I did love the first half of it because, like, the little, like,
the first half is cool.
Yeah, the little, like, orphanage, like, sort of like child run for children orphanage vibe that they had going on, and, like, Gendry showing up like 2 books later. You know, and he didn't reunite with Arya, but he did unite with Brienne, which was nice. Temporary as it could potentially be. And it just was really nice, and, like, the little history, and, like, it's back at the inn at the crossroads, baby. Which we just stay coming back to. Yeah, and then so that was fun. Did not like the second half. Soon as every time they come back, bro, like, they're, like, following Brienne around. I know they're all in the same general area, and Brienne keeps traveling through the Riverlands, like, sooner or later she was gonna, like, or not, like, Riverlands Trident vibes, but, like, it's just annoying, you know what I mean, when they keep showing up, and it's like, there's too many of you. Like, you need to stop being here, you know? Even when they die, they're still here. Like, Vargo's dead. The people that were with Vargo still here, you know? I think that's also why I keep getting confused, because his pawns are still around, and then in my brain he's still around. Yeah, but, like,
do you just expect them to disappear? Like,
I know, but I just don't like it, you know?
Right. Okay. Fair enough. What about Jaime's chapter?
Jaime's chapter was frustrating because I love Jaime and I just wanted Brendan to believe him, and he didn't.
Aww.
And it was like these two characters that I like kind of just arguing, and it was like, no. Like, when Jaime's like, oh, I saw the look on his face that I saw on Ned Stark's face when he saw me sitting on the throne and saw me kill Aaron. And I was like, oh, that was like a line that was like, ooh, that hurts. But I also just was like, come on, like, I know, but, like, you gotta, like, rebuild, you know what I mean? Like, what did you think? You thought you were gonna walk in and he was gonna love you, like, you know what I mean? This is something we should have prepped for, Jaime, you know? Like, you can't get all emo in the moment when you have to negotiate, you know what I mean? Like, you can get emo about it before, you can get emo about it after, but in the moment, you just gotta, like, turn your brain on. But I did, like, it was kind of fun to see, like, Jaime scheming and, like, try to lead a meeting, and it was fun to see, like, infighting on their side. That was fun. But overall, I was just kind of a little bit sad for Jaime, I think. And a little bit sad that these were not, in fact, reunion chapters.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's have you summarize them.
Oh my god, okay.
We've dilly-dallied long enough.
Mm-hmm.
So in 3, 2, 1, Brienne.
Okay, Brienne. Sorry, brain is panicking. Oh my god.
Okay, stop.
Hold on. Where is Brienne right now?
In at the crossroads.
Oh yes. Okay, slay.
3, 2, 1, Brienne.
Okay, Brienne gets to the inn at the crossroads with the usual crew. Kid run orphanage, 4 kids. Gendry's there. Slay. They're like doing their stuff. They're like, we'll pay you, give us food. They're having a nice dinner. It's a nice little reunion. She's talking to Gendry. She thinks it's friendly. Finds out it's Gendry, and she's about to tell him that he's in fact Robert's bastard when Rorge, Biter, them show up. Rorge was in the mask. He was the one. Or
is it Vargo Hope?
Shush. He was the one who was playing as the Hound. Salt Pans, Devastation. Jaime, River Run, we done knew. He is talking. Who is he talking to? Oh, he gets his count. Oh, he goes to negotiate with Brynden. Brynden is basically like, F you. This was just funny to me. Bye. Doesn't listen to a thing he says. Goes back. He's like, well, then I'm gonna have to put my sword where my mouth is, you know? And then he plans the war attack. People are just infighting. We're not getting anywhere. So instead, he decides to just go through with his own plan. And he gathers Edmure. He's like, Edmure, hey.
That's more than a minute.
This is the plan. This is what we're gonna do, buddy. I'm gonna set you free, because that's all I can do.
When I say stop, you gotta stop. You can't just keep going. That's not how this works. That's not how it's worked for like almost 5 years now.
I know, but recently I found the life hack that I can just keep talking.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna when it's my turn to edit, I'm just gonna start editing that part out. Like that after I say stop, it's just silence.
That is mean. That is what's it called? That is. What's the word? What's the word I'm looking for?
Censoring?
Yes! That's...
Okay, Brienne and party are approaching the Crossroads Inn, but they keep finding a whole bunch of corpses hanged along the way, and they figure that these are the ones who were part of the raid at the Salt Pans. And they're wondering, like, who did the hanging? Like, is it Beric Dondarrion and his people, because hanging's their style? Or is it somebody else? Like, what's going on? I don't think we really know.
Yeah.
And they, like, the first corpse they come on to, they're like, oh, look. Hal's like, look, there's a helm. Do you want this pot? And Pot's like, no, it's crawling with worms and it's too big and it's gross and... Like, no, I don't want it. So they move on, but they come upon, like, a billion other corpses. So,
yeah.
But most of them have been looted for their wares, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So finally, as they are going, like, as they're approaching the inn, like, it's still, they haven't quite gotten there yet. The Septon Maribald starts telling the history of the inn, you know. And like all the names that it has held.
This was some call cool.
It's a nice bit of history. So some call it the Old Inn. It's been here for hundreds of years. Jaehaerys I was the one who built the King's Road. It was raised during his reign. So he would like hang out there with his queen. So it was called Two Crowns at that time. But then somebody built a bell tower and changed it to Bellringer Inn. And then finally the Heddle family came in from Long John Heddle. Long John, that just makes you think of underwear. And he was an iron worker, so he forged a new sign with the 3-headed dragon with black iron. But then when the Blackfire Rebellion became a thing, a black dragon had a different meaning, so he had to take that shit down. And he cut it into pieces and threw it in the river.
Oh my god.
When the sign hung on the thing, it would clang in the wind, so it was called a clanking dragon inn.
So cute.
But once he threw the pieces into the river, one of the dragon's heads actually washed up on the Quiet Isle, but by the time it did, it had turned red with rust. So that's interesting.
Wild.
Then there was like never another sign, so people started calling it the River Inn. And this is when we get a reference like, oh, back in those days, the river flowed like right up to it. And people could take the ferry over to White Walls. Remember White Walls? Dunk and Egg take that ferry to White Walls in the last Dunk and Egg story.
Oh!
It's beneath this inn that they do it.
Oh, yeah.
So, throw back to those days.
Yeah.
But then, like 70 or 80 years from present day of the books, the river changed its course and no longer ran close to it. And in a lot of this time, the Heddle family has owned the inn, and it was Masha Heddle.
Mm-hmm.
You remember her? She was hanged by the Lannisters for when Tyrion got kidnapped or taken hostage by Catelyn at this very same inn.
Yeah.
And now at some point her nephew tried to make it a thing during the war, but it wasn't working. So he abandoned it, but now she's got some nieces who've taken up and are running it. So like,
oh my god.
I mean, the Heddle name lives on, so that's cool.
There was a point, you know how we have two inns? Like, this is the main inn, but then we also have the second inn, like where Hot Pie is.
I mean, there's more than one inn, but sure, but like Hot Pie somewhere.
Actual significant inns that we care about.
I don't know if we've come across Hot Pie's inn more than once, though.
Okay, but it was cool because it was Hot Pie and Arya. And all the, like, Dundary people were there.
Sure.
Okay. Cool inn. Anyway. Two inns. Bro, when we saw Gendry...
I'm like, now, are we sure that it wasn't this inn that Hot Pie was at, and now he's just, like, relocated? But I don't know.
No. It was, like, that one was, like, the... like, kneeling man or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would make sense. Oh, look at you remembering things.
Yeah. See, it's very selective up in here. I can't remember that Vargohood is dead for the sixth time.
Because that one's built at the site that the Stark bent the knee to.
Yeah.
Aegon the Conqueror. Okay. I'm just gonna, like, go on with your thoughts.
So then I spent a lot of this chapter being like, oh my god, is Gendry back here for his friend Hot Pie? Not that, like, he would know Hot Pie was there, but, like, it would be, like, a good thing. And then I was like, oh my god, where's Hot Pie? And then I was like, oh wait, that was literally a completely different inn. And then I got sad because I was like, oh, we're actually not gonna see Hot Pie today.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I'm now, like, looking at a map and I'm like, okay, that's where... The Inn of the Kneeling Man is actually really close to River Run.
Yeah. Because didn't we see, like, Jaime and Brienne, like... Well, yeah, didn't Jaime and Brienne also go to that one? And we were like...
Or was it this one?
I think it was the other one, because then we were like, oh, shucks, Arya was just here. Like, do you remember when they, like, accidentally followed Arya's path?
But Arya was just here at this one.
Oh, yeah, Arya's been to both. I guess she's the only character we've seen go to both. Okay, yeah, so maybe they just followed, quote-unquote, ended up following her to this one. Oh my god, if Brienne knew, that would be so wild. It's like one of the people that you've literally been searching for, you accidentally, like, basically followed her journey for a solid bit. Like...
Yeah.
Damn.
Sorry, I'm going down a Google searching hole. Okay, yeah, they're not too far from each other, but Kneeling Man Inn is, like, closer to River Run. The inn at the crossroads is, like, at the crossroads, obviously, but also, like, close to the salt pans. Okay, sorry. Thank you for reminding me of that. I totally forgot. I think in the show they make it a point to call it, like, the inn at the crossroads or something, like, they fancy it up a little bit, you know?
Ah, I see.
So now they're like, oh, it could be called the Gallows Inn because dead people.
This was also, like, when when they're going through, like, the gallows area, Brienne says, like, these were evil men, Brienne reminded herself, yet the sight still made her sad. And I was like, oh, my precious Brienne. And it just, like, can you imagine, though? Like, you're just traveling and you just keep coming upon them? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would be able to cope, but like in terms of this story, we've seen this like many times before. Remember like that tree that had hanging people, like people hanging from it, and Arya was like picking apples from it, like
yeah, like it was like
just all casually.
She was like, oh yeah, oh interesting. Yeah.
I mean, an apple's an apple. You know? It's yeah. Okay, sorry. I almost went down a Ted Lasso hole, but I'm not gonna.
Okay.
When Keely shares with Roy that she wants to be like planted as a tree and like for people to take part in her fruit after she's dead, and he's like, that's stupid. Like
yeah.
Anyway. If you haven't yet watched Ted Lasso, go do it.
Please.
Maybe that's what we should watch tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just cause. Okay. We'll put it up to the audience.
Okay.
In case anybody listening is wondering what the hell we're talking about. So we are organizing a watch party on our Discord for tomorrow from when we're recording. And if you had been on Discord, you would have known about it. So maybe join Discord.
I'm turning into you, but you're also turning into me because that was a me thing to do.
So maybe we'll watch Ted Lasso tomorrow. But like that would be like so predictable of us. Like
that's okay. What are we if not predictable? Like
we want to be enigmas. We want to be mysterious people.
But the thing is, by releasing a podcast where people get hundreds of thousands, probably at this point, of hours of us talking, we can't be mysterious anymore. The very act of having a podcast where you yap on and on for hours kind of removes, like, I see what we want and what we're doing is not in alignment, if that's what you want.
I'm kidding. Honestly, no. I like the mystery thing is just a joke. Like, I meet somebody and within 5 minutes of knowing me, they know like everything about me. I just can't shut up. So like
I'm like, yeah, so actually my cousin's dog's sister actually passed away and like this happened and like blah blah blah, and it's like, I just met you. Why do you need to know any of this? Like
okay. So yes, dead people hanging in trees. All right. So we get like a flashback of like their time in the salt pans, which was quite brief, which is why you can imagine why I needed you to predict something beyond salt pans when you were like determined they were just gonna hang out at the salt pans.
Yeah.
They found the town just completely desolate, and then they went up to the castle thing and they weren't let in even though it was like pouring rain, so they just had to go make camp. And
valid. With that state of my city like that, I wouldn't trust anybody either.
Right, but remember, this is like the Lord guy that like just kept his doors shut while his entire town burned around him. Like didn't do anything.
Oh, never mind. Like, I was on his side. I'm no longer on his side. I was like, well, yeah, if I was the only one surviving.
Like, I get the distress, but, like, you could have let some people in. You could have saved some lives,
with
you know?
With power comes responsibility. You can't be out here be like, I'm the Lord, and then not step up when it's time for you to be the Lord.
Yeah, because, like, I think the elder brother argues something like, oh, he's old and he can't fight anymore or whatever. But he could have let people into his doors, like, you know?
I'm not saying he had to save everyone, but he could have done his share, you know?
Yeah, done something. I don't know. So, we're beyond that now. So they spent a night in the woods. Now they're on their way to the crossroads inn. I think I've said that like 5 times in this chapter. So first thing they hear is somebody hammering away, and they're like, ooh, there's a smith here first hint of Gendry.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me exactly when you were like, it's Gendry.
Okay.
And if it's like one sentence before they're like, it's Gendry, I'm gonna be not happy. I'm not gonna be not happy. I'm not gonna be not happy. I'm gonna be side-eyeing your like proclamation of like, I figured it out. Okay?
I'm dead. Okay.
So don't lie about it though.
Bro! What?
I know.
I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, such a high-stakes situation. You would want to win at all costs, right?
No. Yeah, I don't, like, there's no...
I know, I'm just joking.
I've admitted the most embarrassing shit on here. If I was gonna lie, like, would have started a long time ago. I can promise you that.
Okay, so... they see horses, they see kids, and the eldest is a 10-year-old girl named Willow, and she's in charge. She says her sister Jane is the one who's really in charge, but like Jane is nowhere to be found, so like Willow's in charge.
This had me... I hate that Jane Westerling's name is also Jane. And then this person's name is also Jane. I know this person doesn't...
there's also a bunch of other Janes. Like, there's... Oh. Never mind.
Spoiler!
Not spoiler, more like a... Never mind. I'm just gonna move on, because I don't know if I can say anything without, like... I've gone too far down this road, so...
Spoiler! We're gonna... Oh my god, someone's gonna lose their memory and they're gonna be called Jane Doe. Brienne doesn't actually die. She's just called Jane Doe. Except here it would probably be like some shit like Jane Summers or something, because she's in River Run. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they'd like... Or, Rivers. Or like Waters or something, right? What? Yeah. Wait, which one's Waters and which one's Rivers?
Waters is Crown Lands, like around King's Landing. Also like Dragonstone and that area. And then Rivers is Riverlands.
So is Waters supposed to be more bougie than Rivers?
I mean, they're all just bastards, so like...
Right, okay, interesting.
They're like, oh yeah, we need some food, we need a place to spend the night, and she's like, yeah, if you have silver, you can have it. And they're like, what? You're gonna rob us blind, and blah, blah, blah. But like, eventually, Gendry comes up, and it's like, Brienne turned and saw a ghost. Renly. No hammer blow to the heart could have felled her half so hard. My lord, she gasped. Lord? The boy pushed back a lock of black hair that had fallen across his eyes. I'm just a smith. Did you get it here?
No, but I got it 2 sentences later.
He is not Renly. Renly is dead. He died in my arms.
A boy of this is only a boy. A boy who looked at Renly had the first time he came to Tarth. No, younger. His jaw square, his brows bushier. Renly had been lean and lithe, whereas this boy had the heavy shoulders and muscular right arm. This is gonna sound so funny and weird, but when she said muscular, my brain was like, this is Gendry. And before that, like, this is gonna...
Is it from, like, Robert's description of how he used to be, what was it? Muscled like a maiden's fantasy. Remember that description from book 1?
I don't remember that, but that's funny. No, it was, I think what it was like, obviously it was weird that there was a smith here, like, there's only, like, you know what I mean, like, there's devastation, what the fuck's a smith do? So that was already, you're kind of like, okay, weird, like, weird flag going on. And then, she's like, he's Renly, so then I instantly was like, oh, is this one of Robert's bastards? And then, and then when she said, like, heavy shoulders and muscular right arm, so often seen on smiths, and then
But he says, I'm just a smith.
Yeah, but I just kind of ignored that.
Okay. All right.
You have to understand.
Credit where credit's due. You got it.
It was the word, it was specifically the word muscular, though. Because before the word muscular, I was like, okay, well, she's calling him young. Like, maybe this is Edric. Like, somehow Edric ended up here. Like, I was on the right path, but I just was like, it's gotta be one of them. And then when she said muscular, I was like, this is Gendry. Ain't nobody got food here to become a muscle mommy. Like, you know, like, this is, like, Gendry. Like, come on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, which makes me be like, how has he retained his muscles?
I think
despite
exactly
lack of food.
That was my next thought after just realizing it was Gendry. And then I was like, well, he hasn't been here like that long, and like muscles don't deteriorate like that, you know?
Anyway, she is shooketh, and yeah, but Gendry is not impressed with them. And Septim Maribald's trying to be like, hey, listen, we're just here to like spend the night. I knew Masha Heddle, she was cool, we were cool, like, you know. Just like, if we can be too cool for tonight, it'd be great. And so then they start asking about like all the kids, and Brienne's like, oh, who are these? You're like siblings? And she's like, no, they're just like orphans that have made their way here. Like, sparrows bring them along on their journeys, and others just find their own way. So all these kids have been congregating here, and there's like, we never get a count, but like at least a couple dozen, I would say.
Yeah.
You know?
This is really nice. It's like, it really is
like all out on their own. Like, if Brienne hadn't been there and Hyle hadn't been there, like, how would they be faring in this situation? Apparently they have friends. Like, Gendry's like, when they're expecting friends at some point.
I think, yeah, well, maybe, yeah, I feel like they're either talking about, like, sparrows or something, because, you know, she said, like, sparrows bring them sometimes, so I think, like, maybe they've befriended some of the sparrows or something, or maybe they've befriended, like, Catelyn's band of outlaws or something, you know?
The last time we saw Gendry, he was left with Beric Dondarrion's people. The Brotherhood Without Banners. So.
Yeah, so we don't really know, like, what sort of happened there.
Has he, like, broken off, or is this just where he's stationed? Like,
yeah. Like, maybe they were like, we need to keep one of y'all to, like, sort of, like, keep them okay or something. Like, and that could be the friends, you know? Because, yeah, I don't know, though. And also, like, later on, when Rorge and Biter and them come, they're like, one of them says, like, oh, the outlaws are after us. Like, we'll just get some food and get out of your hair, you know, whatever. Even whether they mean it or not, like, they say that. So I'm also, and especially with, like, all the people being hung along the way. So
hanged.
Sorry, yeah,
They're
hanged.
not tapestries, as Amy's mother would say.
Yeah, you know? So, yeah, I'm kind of thinking it was either them or the sparrows.
Okay, cool. So they're like, what's up with Brienne? And Maribald's like, oh, she's just like a woman on a quest. Like, you know, can you just give us some space to spend the night? And immediately Gendry says no, but Willow says yes, and they have like a staring competition, and Willow's like, we need food, like, we're hungry. So yes, they can stay. And clearly she's in charge, so that's what happens.
Yeah.
And okay, so the kids, in terms of protection, they do have some crossbows that they carry around.
Slay. Yeah, but like, that's only gonna get them so far.
I know.
But they're doing their best. I do commend them for it. Oh, I love Septim Maribald. Like, slay. Yeah. I already loved him first chapter, but now I'm like, double slay Septim. Also, because he's also one of the only people who's described Brienne really nicely. Like, I put a heart beside it. He calls her a warrior maid, which was just like a cute little, like, I was like, oh, that is like a good, like, description, you know? Yeah. And I was like, that's so nice. And he just is so, like, diplomatic with it. Like, he's like, oh yeah, like, Masha used to even sometimes, like, give me food when I'd come to visit. Like, we got a friendship. Like, he's just so, like, he's so slay. Why can't he go be High Septim? Why it gotta be the other guy?
Yeah. That's how it'd always be, though.
Sad.
Because he is like this, he can't be that. You need to be a little bit evil to get powerful, you know? Okay, so they have the inn for the night, and they set up in their rooms, and then her plan is to leave really early in the morning and leave both Hyle and Maribald behind and just kind of make it on her own. And Pod's like, okay, that's cool, but where are we gonna go? And she doesn't know. She is quite literally at a crossroads. And we don't really get a decision from her in this chapter. So I guess we'll see what happens, but
you know what I'm worried about?
She's like, what?
Like, there's not that much of this book left.
True.
This could be Brienne's last chapter.
True.
And if she's not in the 5th book...
Yeah.
Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Ain't no way. Ain't no way.
No comment, so...
Dear God.
Guess we'll see.
I don't like this.
I already know the answer to this, but, like, I assume you don't want any of these stories to end on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, but looks like all of them are ending on a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Okay, so she's like, I can go to the Vale, I can go to Winterfell, I can go to River Run, I can even go back to King's Landing and, like, make my way home. Or if I go to King's Landing, I can, like, hand back the sword to Jaime and be like, I'm done. And maybe he'll comfort me should I weep upon his shoulder.
That was what men wanted, wasn't it? Soft, helpless women that they needed to protect.
Yeah, I mean, you can want comfort and not be weak, Brienne.
Yeah, I think she's just insecure, because she's like, I like him, and he would never like me.
Yeah, well, doesn't look like they're reuniting, so...
Well, I mean, if this is Brienne's last chapter, at least we finally... I feel like this has been, like, the most, like, overt, like, would love to be with Jaime. We've gotten... Like, the rest has been like, oh, he was in my dream. Or, like...
Well, this is basically that. It's maybe just the tiniest smidgen of a step above, but then she's like, yeah, but that's just, like, men are stupid. Like...
No, but I think it's more of like a... I don't know. She loves him.
Well, obviously.
Hard eyes.
Okay, alright. Yeah, it was like a cute thing, but then when she starts doubting it, that's when I don't like it. I'm like, just like, let yourself have this fantasy. Like, who cares, right?
Yeah, but Girlie's insecure, and everywhere she walks, people are like, why you look like that, though?
Yeah. Which is also what she says to Gendry later. Okay, so sorry. We'll get to that. So they go down to dinner and, like, it is chaos. She's like, I'm gonna try to count these kids. She cannot. There's just too many of them. And Willow is in charge, shouting orders,
she's girl bossing,
getting shit done. And she's like, that would make sense if she were highborn, because, like, lowborn people don't have any leadership skills, obviously. But, like, she's trying to, like, rationalize this and is like, could this be Arya? Like, what color were Arya's eyes again? Like, all of that thing.
This kind of made me realize, I was like, Girlie has, like, it just reminded me, I guess, like, she hasn't seen either of them. She's just going off of a fair maid of auburn hair, about this many years, like, you know, like, it's like, you don't, like, which also was nice about because before the whole freaking biter stuff, with the Gendry reunion, at least Gendry knows what Arya looks like, and he knows, like, her habits, he knows, like, Arya would never go there, or, like, he knows Arya was planning to go to River Run, like, you know what I mean, and I was just hoping that could go somewhere, and I'm hoping that can still go somewhere, but yeah.
Guess we'll see. But it is like she ain't got a photograph on her phone that she can show people on the street to be like, have you seen this? And then when I was thinking of that, I had a flashback to when I had to do that when I thought you were missing.
Oh my God.
Remember that time you gave everybody a heart attack?
You're making this sound so much more intense than it was. You guys, I was I had a swimming lesson, and I spent a little too long in the pool, and my
But
mom
you weren't
panicked
answering anyone's messages, calls,
because I
anything.
was in the pool. I didn't have my phone.
But not
It
even
was
after
in a
you got out of the pool and
locker.
left.
Okay, because I wasn't like, oh my god, everyone must be... This is how little faith my mom has in me. She instantly was like, she must be dead. She couldn't have survived.
Well, your mom's
swimming.
calling me asking where you are, and I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah, this was a whole thing.
And then I went down to the pool and I was like, have you seen this girl? I was like, it was like the most stressful thing I've ever done, probably.
Oh my god. Y'all, like, seriously? Ugh. Ugh. I mean this with all due respect. I literally would not have done that. Because I would have been like, no.
You would have let me just die.
No, because
in
the thing,
pool?
no, because I would have assumed that you were perfectly fine.
But what if I weren't?
Then I would end up regretting it later. But in the moment, I literally, like...
It was more complicated than that. Because you had, like, a swimming lesson at a certain time, and it had been, like, more than that time, plus time to take you home, and all of that time, plus a little bit extra, and you were still not answering the phone.
I think it was just like a miscommunication where like my mom thought I was going there right after work sort of thing, but my swim lesson didn't start until a couple hours after work. So then by the time the swim lesson ended and I spent like an extra like maybe hour in the pool, in her mind it had been like 3 hours since my lesson, but like, which is also why I didn't think anybody would panic, because in my mind the lesson had just ended and I was just hanging out in the pool. It was a whole thing.
That was quite a day.
See, this
anyway,
is... Sorry, I have to side note the side note.
I would have been like a fair maid of yay high, of black hair, maybe brown eyes.
This, like, oh my god. This, like, side note to the side note. I think about this all the time. When we didn't have phones, like, we'd, like, get lost in Walmart. We'd be, like, late coming home from school. It was fine. The fact that we have the access creates extra anxiety. When we didn't have the phones,
true.
We were fine. Like, you know what I mean? The phones create anxiety.
Okay.
Moving on, let's get back to it.
Okay, so...
Once again, another Septon Maribald win. He's, like, talking to a little guy. He's like, oh, I'll bring you an orange if you help me do this. Like, he's so nice, even to the little kiddos. Anyway, continue.
Yeah.
It's just nice.
Of course he is. I mean, yeah.
I know, but it's
a
just
good person.
Nice.
Yeah. So Brienne goes sit next to Hyle Hunt, and they're both noting this blood spot on the, not on the carpet, but like on the floor that has been scrubbed, but they haven't been able to get it all out yet. And they're like, maybe these kids be getting people in and killing them. And Brienne's like, yeah, but this is also where Sandor Clegane killed like those people, like. So they're like, maybe, but maybe it's not. And Brienne's like, are you really afraid of some kids? And he's like, a few kids I wouldn't be afraid of. This is a cacophony of kids, which I loved. It's a good term, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, you're overreacting. And he's like, oh, right, you're a woman. You just want babies. Like, ugh.
The Hyle Hunt crush went away as quick as it came this chapter.
Really? I'm so glad it did.
This,
like, it's about time.
Because it just, like... Because here's the thing. Before this chapter, you have to admit, there was, like, a big chance that it was, like, you know, he's following her, he's gonna repent, he's trying to be, like... Yeah, he makes jokes and stuff, but, like, so does Jaime, and we like Jaime, you know what I mean? But, like, this chapter, it just was like, oh, okay, so your intentions weren't, hey, I was such a dick, and, like, you know, I don't have a specific mission right now, I'm gonna come help, I'm gonna come, like, do some good things in the world, like, I'm gonna, like, sure, he wanted to make a name for himself with, Tarly, like, with Sam's dad, and, like, do all the things, whatever. That was fine. Like, sure, you can be a little selfish, you can be a little ambitious. Like, I'm not saying you have to try and save Sansa. You don't have to be super nice to be, like, okay by this world's standards, you know? But it's just like, bro, like, you're just, like, out here trying to be a dick and annoying. Like, now I'm not on his side anymore. Which also is good, because now I can go back to just shipping Brienne with Jaime.
Like, okay, so instead of apologizing to Brienne and trying to, like, right your wrongs, or, like right your wrongs and be ambitious in the same process. You're instead just here to be like, oh, well, maybe she'll marry me. Like, no. So that was the only reason for all your apology and all the shit? Like,
Okay. Well, yeah, his whole thing is, oh, I just want to marry you so I can be the next Lord of Tarth. And she's like, the fuck?
Yeah, you look just as pretty as people look the same in the dark, so even your ugliness would go away. Like, fuck you? Like, get out?
Marriage would serve us both. You would have kids and I would have the lands and castle. Like, she can't want lands and castle. And then he's like, oh, you know, it's proven I can have kids. I've already got a bastard. But don't worry, I'm not gonna, like, parade around my bastard near you. You don't have to worry about her. Like, they're just, like, all the wrong things he's saying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Brienne shuts that down. I don't know just how much it sunk in for this guy, but it was no good. Just go away. Which is what Brienne basically says, and she gets up and leaves because she doesn't want any of this. So then they, like, finally the dinner is ready. They sit down to dinner after Maribald does a prayer, and there's, like, a kid crawling on the table.
Oh my god.
And the whole time they're doing the prayer, Gendry's just glowering at everyone.
Oh my
and
god.
Maribald's like, oh, do you have no love for the gods? And he's like, well, not for your gods, because he's like a red god convert, you know?
Mm-hmm. Which also kind of, like, makes me think that maybe he's still cool with, like, Thoros and Dendarian and them a little bit. And, like, it's not necessarily, like, they left him or something. Or maybe they did leave him, but it was more, like, amicable than, you know?
Right. Well, yeah. So that would make sense. So then they eat, and it's a merry going. Gendry has stormed out at this point, so Brienne's like, somebody should take him some food. And Hal's like, maybe you should take him some food, because, like, I'm not getting up. So Brienne, you know, gets some food together and goes out to the forge, and Gendry's working on the sword, and he's like, I'm not just a smith, I'm a knight. This is gonna be my sword. Because didn't like Beric knight him or somebody? Like, am I just dreaming that?
Yes. I was literally gonna ask you since when, but now that you're saying it, I vaguely remember this maybe. And then
right?
Arya was like, what the fuck? And he was like, yeah, I got knighted, I'm gonna stay with them. And then Arya was like, you're not gonna go with me. And he was like, it's your dream, Arya, to go back to your home. What am I gonna do there? And then they got mad at each other, and that was literally the last time they saw each other.
Yeah.
Now that you're saying it, I'm kind of remembering it.
Yeah, I think that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just talking, and she's like, oh, you're from King's Landing. Like, she, like, immediately kind of starts grilling him. Like, who are your parents? Who's your dad? And he's like, I don't know, like, what do you care?
Yeah.
And she's like, you're a bastard. And he's like, what the fuck did I do to you? Why are you calling me bastard? And then this is when she's like, has no one ever remarked upon your face? It's like,
what's wrong with my face? It's not as ugly as yours. Like, this conversation, like, the miscommunication
like, Brienne
is so
has
funny.
no tact.
Yeah.
It's really funny. So they're, like, basically just, she's like, did you ever see Robin? And it was like, yeah, but, like, he was the king, like, you know, we never got close. And she's about to, like, kind of get into it, like, hey, listen. And that's when dogs start barking, so then they're alerted to somebody coming. And Gendry's like, yeah, don't worry, it's just some friends. And Brienne, like, goes to look out the door, and then she sees these, like, 7 people, and she very much recognizes them, and she's like, those are nobody's friends, so better get armed.
Yeah.
And then, like, Willow comes out the door when these people are there, and she's got her crossbow, but like, what's that really gonna do?
Yeah.
So Brienne's like, oh no, somebody's gotta step in, and she's like, it's gotta be me. So she like gathers her courage and, you know.
Mm-hmm. She says, no chance and no choice. And I was like, damn.
Yeah, because it's 1 against 7, and she's like, oh, those are not good odds. So she goes outside and kind of like tempts Rorge. And they're like, oh, we don't want nothing. We just want some horses. We'll leave. But Rorge is like, no, fuck all that. I am going to wreak havoc here too.
Mm-hmm.
So then him and Brienne basically get into it.
Mm-hmm.
And like he like gets off his horse and like stomps over to her, and she's like, better let him come to me. If the gods are good, he'll slip and fall. The gods were not that good. But her sword was.
Hey!
So that's much more reliable than any gods. So
oh my god.
You know? Anyway, yeah, fight. She finally kills, like she gets hit a couple of times, but she kills Rorge.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 minute menace has been dealt with, and that's when
the second
Biter
menace
jumps on her. Yeah.
Ugh.
And he's like ripping her hair out and just like, it's very gruesome.
Yeah.
And he's biting at her
and like hissing at her
and eating, and like it's just like such a shock. Like she goes into literal shock.
And he doesn't like, sorry, I'm trying to remember like when we first met him and like Jaqen was describing him, he doesn't talk at all, right? Like he just
I think he doesn't have a tongue.
Oh, okay.
Like his tongue was cut out or something.
Okay, because this is just like a weird, like, this character is written so weirdly, because it's like, he's almost made him more like, what's the word, like, anthropomorphic, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, more like an animal than a human. Yeah.
I can never,
I'll just say the definition.
every time in my life, and for some reason I've tried to say that a lot in my life, like for some reason it always comes up. Every time I try I can't say it, but that word, like, he's written him so weirdly, but like there's no like explanation or like anything, like we know nothing about this guy except he was in
but that's like, okay, hang on, because anthropomorphic I think is what you were trying to say.
Yeah.
But that means like more like humans. Because
because that's making animals more like humans. Okay, so I guess opposite of that.
Let me Google what the opposite of that
you're so right. That's literally the opposite.
It just literally says dehumanization.
Okay, I guess. Yeah. Then yeah. Yeah, because it's all the descriptions of like hissing and biting and like not describing his blood as blood, like describing it as something like warm and wet and gushy, and like his mouth opens and possibly why, like it's just all these things are just like very like I don't know, he's just not really written like a dude, you know? And I guess that's kind of the point, but I don't know, I don't know, it's just weird, I guess.
I agree. It's an interesting characterization. But these are like, yeah, it's a very like, these are monsters. Like there's no layers to them of any kind. So maybe it's lazy writing. Maybe there's just so many characters that some need to just be one-sided, you know? Yeah. Just one dimension. So I'm not like, I don't love these characters, obviously, but I don't think about them too much outside of
I think my thing is just that, like, Rorge and Biter, every time I think about them, like, I can't not think about Jaqen, because we were kind of introduced to them as that trio, and that's, like, a lot of where, like, our experiences with them come from. So it's just interesting to have Jaqen on one hand, where we have all of this deep, deep lore, and then these ones who don't. And I think that's kind of, because, like, you know, really great series all the time have characters that are very one-dimensional, and, like, this series has it all the time, too. Like, we meet some guy, and then he dies, and he was just some guy, you know? But, like, it's just interesting, because I associate these characters so much with Jaqen. And then to have him, and then to have these guys just kind of be like, just some guy, it's just, or not just some guy, but like, you know, like some like just really weird guy, you know? It's just interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, this was disturbing to read.
Indeed.
And then at one point I was like, oh my god, did Jaqen do something to him?
Oh, to make him like this?
Yeah, but then wasn't he like, oh, I found him and he was always known as the biter and like that's just kind of how he became a prisoner?
Yeah, I think him and Rorge have been BFFs for a while.
Right.
And that they ended up with Jaqen in the Black Cells. And that was like always a thing about like Jaqen, because he seemed like quote unquote normal compared to them.
Right.
But why was he also in a cage? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Biter is literally eating her, and she can't like do anything about it. And this is when his tongue turns into a sword, aka somebody stabbed him through the head. So hopefully he's dead. Maybe he's some kind of supernatural being that can't be killed. I was saying died, but that's not the right verb. Killed. And that's the end of the chapter. So, what happens to Brienne from here on?
Bro, I don't fucking know. Like, this was an insane chapter. I literally don't know. I'm worried that this is her last chapter, and we'll never find out. You know what's funny? I don't think I ever predicted Brienne's death. So if she were to...
I don't think you did.
So if she... And she's one of the few people where I haven't even said it, like, as a joke, you know? So that would certainly be interesting, but I hope not. I think she's okay. I think it's going to be hard to get rehabilitated, but, you know, she just saved all these kids' lives, like, they might want to help her. But also, there's still 5 guys to deal with, right? Like, sure, they won't be as bad, but I feel like once you take down Rorge and Biter, they might be like, oh, you got them? Like, maybe I should... Especially because, you know, one of the other guys who was like... I don't know if he meant it, but he was like, oh, just give us stuff and then we'll leave, but give us stuff. Like, you know? So maybe, like, I wouldn't... And also, like, what are they gonna get with killing kids? The only thing I can think of is if they, you know, because all the food they brought, like, maybe they try to raid that. But it would be, like, not to say that these are the most logical and nice people, but I just don't see how killing kids who literally kind of have nothing other than, like, beef and horses would kind of be at all great for their cause.
What even is their cause, though? They've been going around raiding innocents and raiding and killing people. So,
yeah,
like,
I guess they could.
What was their rationale for any of that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think first they're gonna try and deal with these guys, and then maybe do what they can to help Brienne. And then Brienne will probably need some time to heal before she gets out on her way. And hopefully she'll take Gendry with her.
Which way will that be?
She'll take Gendry with her, and Gendry will be like, you should definitely check River Run, because that's where she was trying to go.
Right. And Gendry's like, we don't really know what he's up to, but like, if he's with the Brotherhood, he's not gonna like have any reservations about just leaving that.
Well, he doesn't have to leave.
And like, what is the current situation of the Brotherhood? Can you summarize what you know for me?
Well, like, we have like the Catelyn people.
Uh-huh.
And then didn't we have like a split or something?
Well, we didn't see Beric or Thoros when we saw Lady Stoneheart.
Right.
So your explanation for where they might be is like they've gone off on their own and this is like another faction of that.
And I do remember we learned new stuff recently, but I've forgotten. Or it's gotten embedded in my mind. Like, embedded in the knowledge I already had, so I don't remember.
Well, people were saying that Lady Stoneheart is Barrick's lover. Remember that?
Oh, yes.
And obviously the usual rumors of, like, Barrick is dead. No, he isn't. Like, all of that stuff.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember there being something else that we learned recently, but I just can't remember what it is.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We learned, like, there was something...
They've been killing Freys, like, that's...
Well,
but that's, like, not news.
Yeah, we know
That's
that,
just...
but I swear we just learned something about them specifically, like, about the grouping, or, like, something, or, like, what they're up to, but I just can't remember.
Okay.
That's okay. It's gone.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know either, but that's okay. Yeah, but anyway, I think that Gendry temporarily going off to Riverrun is okay, and maybe we can get, like, someone else to be here and help the orphans, if that's what Gendry's job is. But I also feel like I think Gendry isn't, like, a part of the Brotherhood, so I think he can go do what he wants. I think it's more of, like, having, like, a working relationship with them. Like, as they pass by, like, they're not gonna kill him, or, not that they would try to kill him, but, like, it's kind of like that understanding, and, like, maybe they can come stay at the inn with the orphans, because they know Gendry, like, that sort of thing.
Okay. Alright. So, there is a connection I would like you to make, but I'm not gonna push it.
Between whomst?
That's... if I tell you between whomst, that's the connection. But I've done all I can without just straight up saying it, so... Brienne is gonna need some rehab time. She's gonna hang out here. And then she, with Gendry, is going to go out searching for Arya. Right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
To what degree of success?
Well, Arya's not at Riverrun.
No, she's not.
Jaime is at Riverrun.
He is.
Reunion! Jaime will probably not be at Riverrun by the time Brienne gets there, though. So, and by then the Lannisters will have Riverrun, so it's probably not looking too good. She'll probably just ask around in the neighboring areas and try not to get too close. And then hopefully by then, like, we run into someone or something, or that gives us some other clue. Yeah.
Okay.
I just feel like so much could happen. Like, okay, like, another altercation with the outlaws, and, like, Brienne dies, or Gendry dies. Like, there's just so much that could happen. Like, I don't know what to predict, because they're all so close to each other. Like, literally, like, she could, okay, Edmure's whole, what Jaime's trying to get Edmure to do goes through. Brendan's like, I'm not fucking going to the wall. Brendan escapes. Brienne runs into Brendan. Like,
actually, let's talk about this after Jaime's chapter.
Okay.
Because some things may tie in, okay?
Okay. Like, there's just so much going on, you know?
Yeah, you're right. That is why let's do the whole thing.
Okay.
So Jaime is at Riverrun. He's parlaying with Brynden Tully, and he's shown up on his horse Honor, but he's wearing a crimson cloak. He thought a lot about which armor to wear, but he ended up wearing no armor, but he is still wearing red, so, like, but the horse he chose is Honor, so it's like bit of both, you know? But Blackfish doesn't know the horse's name is Honor.
Yeah, he thinks
so what he sees is the red cloak.
Yeah, he thinks about these fashion choices so much. It's so funny.
Yeah, well, it's all about the branding, isn't it?
Oh my god.
So, yeah, Tully's like, oh, I assume you're here to return me my nieces, or, like, my niece's daughters. And where are they? I don't have them. Oh, so I guess you've come to resume your captivity. We have your cell all ready to go. And Jaime's like, oh, sorry, I will have to respectfully decline. And they're just, like, going back and forth, and Jaime's trying to keep his temper, but he's not a very tempered guy. And the Blackfish is looking at him the way Ned Stark had looked at him when he had found him on the Iron Throne with the Mad King's blood upon his blade. So judgy, obviously.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'll give you back your nephew Edmure if you give me the Westerlings. And the Blackfish is like, Edmure's gonna die no matter what, so it's worthless. And also, I promised Robb that I would keep his queen safe, so that's what I'm doing.
Whoa.
And he also seems to be worried that the Freys will kill her because she was supposedly the one that Robb betrayed everyone for, and blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
But like, the Westerlings are also Lannister people now, and the Freys are also Lannister people, so how can the Lannisters let that happen?
Yeah.
But also, it's the Lannisters. They don't have any honor, so anything can happen, so why trust them? That's basically all of Brendan's argument, you know? Like,
yeah.
You're the Kingslayer. That's how he opens the conversation. I don't trust you. I can't trust you. Every oath you've made, you've broken, including the one to my niece.
Whoa.
And there's just like random back and forth, and they're like, we can take the castle. And he's like, not without a lot of casualties, but we have more people. We have more food. And he's like, yeah, good luck.
Yeah, basically, Brendan basically, the one thing I will say, I do love, you know how I was like, oh, but he's not listening to Jaime. Listen to my man, Jaime. But the nice thing is, like, you know how I said, like, man, like, Robb died, and, like, all these people were like, wow, our king in the north, we're gonna support you. Oh my god, our king in the north, da 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 da, and hyped him up so much. And then when poor Robb went, you know, down the hill, like,
when what went down the hill?
Poor Robb went down the hill.
Poor Robb, like Poor?
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, I heard whore Robb.
That's so funny.
And I was like, why are we sex shaming all of a sudden? Like, what's going on? That's why I was like, can you say that again?
Oh my god, yeah. Poor Robb went down the hill. Now they're just like, and like, I get, like, okay, yeah, like, the Lannisters are in charge now, like, you gotta bow your head, but it's just like, it's just nice to have Brendan be like, you know what, no, like, I'm gonna keep doing what I said I would do for my king. I don't care if he's dead, like, the cause is not, and my men would rather die on the field than bow our heads. And I just really respect that, because it's just nice that, like, somebody, you know, is actually has that, like, audacity and is actually sticking to their guns. Like, it's just nice.
Indeed. Jaime's like, well, then let's have a trial by combat, you know? We'll do single combat, and you can pick a champion, I can pick a champion. And then it's like, oh, why don't we fight each other? And Jaime is posturing. He knows he can't win, but he's like, you want to try me? And Brendan's like, no, it's not worth my time. Like, even if I win, you're not going to back off. So, like, I get nothing out of this. So I'm just going to go back to my house and hang out. Thanks for a little bit of entertainment. Yeah, basically Jaime asks him, like, what terms will you accept? Because he's offered, like, what he thinks are generous terms. And Brendan Tully's like, from you, none. So I just came out for some entertainment.
Damn.
And,
You see, it's just dreadfully boring.
Why does he sound like that?
Just 'cause. Just vibes.
Basically, Jaime rides away in shame. He's like, I didn't accomplish anything.
Oop.
And,
this is so embarrassing.
Yeah, he goes to his people, tells them to assemble a war council, and they gather in his tent. All the people are there. Jenna is there. She has made it clear that nobody can question her place there, which I appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, the Blackfish is like, what do you even know what honor is? Do you even know what honor is? And Jaime's like, in his brain, he thinks a horse, because it's like, he thinks that his horse, like, he's kind of calling himself out on that, you know?
Yeah.
It was just a funny moment. And his deal is like, strike your banners, open your gates, everyone can live. If they want to stay here, that's cool. If not, they can go on their way. Just, they can't have their weapons. And you can take the black, and you can go hang out with Jon Snow. And the Blackfish is like, well, actually, Catelyn didn't like that kid, and she also didn't like Theon Greyjoy, so I feel like she's right about both of them.
Damn.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because, like, was the Blackfish there when Robb declared Jon his heir?
I don't think so.
No? Oh, yeah, because the Blackfish was at Riverrun, literally.
Yeah.
Or did he run from the wedding and make it to Riverrun?
I don't think he went to the wedding. Because remember we needed people at Riverrun getting ready to...
Yeah.
Why do you think he made it out? How else would he have survived?
I don't know.
He would have been at the
I don't
feast.
know.
You think they would have been like camp outside Brienne and Tully?
I was like, he's nifty. Maybe he snuck out the back door.
Ain't no way. And leaves all of them there?
So the Blackfish doesn't know that Robb declared Jon his heir.
Mm-hmm.
Now, say that document surfaces.
Mm-hmm.
This makes it be like, he's not going to support that, you know, which is an unfortunate discovery for us.
Right.
Just, I don't know. I think it's of note that we know what these people are. You know, what our liked people think about each other.
Yeah. Oh, so sad. Why can't they all just like each other and just hate the Lannisters?
Including Jaime?
Wait, never mind. Why can't we all just get along?
Including Cersei?
If she fixes her actions, then yeah.
Anyway.
If she changes everything about herself.
So, like, we like Jaime, we like Blackfish, they don't like each other. We like Jon, we like Blackfish, they don't like, or like, Blackfish doesn't like Jon. I wonder if Blackfish feels similarly about Brienne because of, like, her and Jaime connection. So, like, all of this is kind of scattered, you know?
None of our faves like each other.
So, then they talk about the Red Wedding and, like, what a horror, like, he's like, how can I respect what you have to say after the Red Wedding? Y'all murder people in breach of all sacred laws of hospitality. Yeah. And Brienne's, not Brienne, Jaime's like, oh, that's Frey's work, not mine. And rightfully, Blackfish calls it out as Tywin's work, and Jaime's like, well, he's dead too. The Blackfish says, may the father judge him justly. And Jaime's thought is now, that's an awful prospect.
Oh my god.
So even he has no illusions about his father's goodness.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So they're like, yeah, we're gonna outlive you. No, we're gonna outlive you. Try if you will. Whatever. Oh, Jaime's excuse for not offering himself up as the single combatant is that or like as Blackfish calls it, a convenient excuse, is that Catelyn made me swear to not take arms against Starks or Tully, so I can't fight you.
Oh my god. But I can storm and kill you.
Yeah, so Blackfish is like, yeah, that's the most convenient oath. And Jaime's like, well, okay, free me from my vow and I'll show you how it's done. And then the Blackfish is like, not worth my time. See ya.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as he's returning, Jaime's thinking, oh god, all I can do is storm the castle now. That's gonna be just one more vow I broke.
I feel like Jaime should have... Oh, excuse me. I just feel like Jaime could have tried harder. I don't know if it would have worked if he had tried harder. Because I think Brendan kind of had
in what way?
Like, I don't know, I just feel like he didn't even try to explain, like, hey, I am trying to... Like, when he was like, oh, I thought about telling the Blackfish about Brienne and how I do have someone going to find Arya and Sansa, but then I saw the look on his face and it was the same as the Ned Stark look, so I just stopped. Like, I just feel like that, like, defeatist attitude wasn't gonna get him anywhere. Like, he's internalizing this too much. He had to come into this conversation knowing this is what Brendan was gonna think. Like, you can't be, like, how else was Brendan gonna think, you know? Like, y'all's family killed all his people, you know? Like,
yeah.
Like, what did you think he was gonna, did you think he was gonna give you a hug?
Yeah, but then why would Brendan believe Jaime about any of that?
But you can at least try.
But he should have at least tried telling him.
You can at least try. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it would have worked. I'm just saying the fact that you're even going through with doing this whole thing of, like, hey, let's figure out what we can do. If you're gonna do that, you should go all the way. Because otherwise it's like, it wasn't gonna work if you were gonna half-ass it anyway. You know? It just sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
But at this point, I was kind of thinking, like, Jaime's gotta do something that... Because the main issue here is that lack of trust, right? So all he can kind of do, if he's gonna try and treat with Brendan, is to be like, I think the only... Not that this will completely work, but, like, the only thing that he can do that would still be working with Brendan, is to show something... do something that shows that he's trustworthy now, which is why my initial thoughts on his plan are like, okay, so if the first step of your plan is sending Edmure in, that to me kind of is probably the best thing he can do in this case. Because he's showing, like, because Edmure...
Trust.
Yeah, and
But he also backs it up with some very gruesome threats.
But, like, if he didn't do that, then he's just kind of giving up. Like, that's I feel like that's, like, then he's not supporting the Lannister cause at all. Like, I think that's the closest he can get to, like, I want Brendan to trust me. Look, I'm doing this thing that shows you... Like, he didn't have to do that, right? Because, sure, he's giving the threat of, I'm gonna storm you if you decide to do anything else about it.
But I don't think he's trying to treat with Brendan like, he's not trying to win over Brendan's trust once he approaches Edmure.
But it's still, like, it could still function that way if he was trying to win over Brendan's trust. Because it's not like he's sending a note saying, here are my intentions. He's just sending Edmure with a threat, but it still is kind of not what Brendan would expect. Because he didn't have to do that. He could have just done the storming, and it would be the same result, right? Other than the Edmure stuff. So the fact that he sent Edmure is still different than what Brendan would have expected from him. So it still does show that, like, even if I'm not trying to treat with you anymore, like, I'm still doing this thing that is more trustworthy than you would have expected from me.
Sure, but he would see it as a backhanded scheme. Like, I see what you're saying, but I also know why it won't work. So, it's fine. War Council. We're at the War Council now. Having all these names listed reminded me that we totally messed up some of the phrase when we were talking about them earlier. Like, I think we mistook Black Walder for Walder Rivers at one point, and somebody on the Discord kindly pointed that out. So, like, sorry for everybody who was infuriated by that. There's just too many goddamn phrases, okay? That's my excuse. I don't promise that I'll get them right in the future. So, moving on. They get together for their war council. Sir Ryman Frey is not there because apparently he's too drunk or hungover and just can't make it.
Insane.
So immediately, like, there's just, like, Jaime is not really directing the conversation here. People are just kind of talking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, he's like, what should we do? And then everybody just like, do this, do that, do this, do that. Like, Emmon Frey, who is now the legal lord of Riverrun, wants
which he doesn't
Edmure
let anyone
hanged.
forget.
Yeah. There's a guy named Carl Vance. What's notable about him is he has a wine-stained birthmark over his neck and one side of his face, which kind of reminded me of Bloodraven, because remember, he's got a wine-stained raven on his face.
Yeah, and then Davin's like, storm the walls.
Emmon's like, my castle, look at this paper. And he's like, why don't you go show that to the Blackfish instead of showing it to us?
Emmon at one point is like, I command you. But he does it, he's like, I command it, and like no one listens to him. Like, King Tommen himself has granted me. Like, shut up. Like,
and Edwin Frey's, like Ryman Frey's kid, he's his son. His strategy is to throw shit arrows at them to like kill them with disease, which honestly, like in terms of effective or non-effective, may be an effective scheme.
Oh my god.
But you know, nobody wants that.
Yeah.
Carl guy is like, oh, is it gonna be your own night soil that'll be your contribution?
A mortal poison, I don't doubt. These people are just like comedians out here.
This is their war council. Like,
hey,
they're having
the Lannisters having bad meetings is my win. Okay, like Cersei can't lead meetings, Jaime can't lead meetings. Great.
Yeah, there's this older guy, Norbert Vance. He's like, we used to be squires. Let me talk to him one-on-one, buddy to buddy. We'll help him understand.
Bro to bro. Strongboar is like, I'll challenge him to single combat. Like, really, buddy? You think you're gonna succeed there?
Piper gets mad at the Freys because the Freys still have Mark Piper, his heir, imprisoned.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know, the tensions from the Red Wedding are still present.
Mm-hmm.
And so like Jaime finally tells him to shut the fuck up and sit down, but like Piper guy just storms out because he's not having any of this. But Edwin Frey sits down, and Edwin Frey's like, yeah, send Ilan Payne to kill him. He walked out on this council, and it's just like, this is so bad.
Yeah.
And Edwin Frey's like, oh, all these people are traitors and rebels. And then Jaime looks at him and is like, well, actually, y'all Freys betrayed twice, so you're double the traitors.
Point.
Yeah. Just hate him so much. So they're just like, okay. He's like, shut the fuck up, everybody. We're gonna attack tomorrow. Get ready. That's his orders, and he tells everyone to go. So,
and
obviously,
and like right before everyone leaves, and like Jenna's kind of the last one. Jenna's the last one to leave, and she's like, "Bro, kill Edmure Tully. Do something with this knowledge, Jaime." And then she leaves.
Yeah, and he's like, "Okay, I will deal with him. Don't worry." So he gets a couple of his people, and he ferries over to where the Freys are set up. And he's like, it's time I visited this gallows they've built. So he goes up, and he is obviously, Edmure is hanging there as he has been for days. That's just like his thing now. And it's like, oh, Edmure's like, oh, you brought Sir Ilan. Great. May is like, better the sword than the noose. Do it. Go ahead. And Jaime like nods at him, and Sir Ilan like draws the blade and strikes. Later we find out that he cut the rope, like he wasn't striking his neck.
Yeah.
But Edwin Frey comes running up, and he's like, no, wait, my father is coming. Turns out he isn't drunk, or he is drunk, but he is much more occupied by entertainment. He couldn't be bothered to show up to the meeting, you know?
Yeah.
And he's got the sex worker with him, who is wearing on her head a circlet of hammered bronze, graven with runes and ringed with small black swords. Recognize it?
No.
That's Rob's crown.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What
So the Freys are just like parading around this crown and like have given it to the sex worker, and like maybe to her pig the next day.
Where did this Ryman guy get this nice looking thing? That's fucked up. That is fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm so mad.
And like he's got a singer entertaining him, and it's like it's just a bad scene.
No. Ugh. My god.
So, you know, Jaime's like, okay, you know what? This is ridiculous. What is the purpose of this? This is as stupid as like you giving this crown to her is as stupid as this gallows business. And he's like, well, this is to give him a warning. It's to show them that I don't make idle threats, which she makes literally every day and has been for months.
Oh my god.
And Jaime's like, only a fool makes threats he's not prepared to carry out. For example, if I were to threaten to hit you unless you shut your mouth, and you presume to speak, what do you think I'll do? And then this guy presumes to speak, so Jaime hits him with his golden hand.
Oh!
It was, it's quite good. And, he's like, you idiot, I will have you killed if you don't get out of here. I'm heir to the crossings. You can't. What did I say about talking? And then he just shuts. It's so good.
Oh my god.
When Jaime like actually takes charge, it's very hot. But like, he doesn't get to be that often and be on the right side. Like here, I'm all behind this, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, he's like, you are dismissed. Go away. Where should I go? To hell or home, as you prefer. Just don't be here. And take the sex worker, but leave the crown. So.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, Edwin, to Ryman's son, you're in charge now. Try not to be so stupid as your sire. And this kid has the audacity to be like, that ought not pose much difficulty, my lord. Like, your dad's right there. Just right there. And you're just saying this?
Yeah.
And what? The disrespect. Like, I'm not saying this guy deserves any respect.
Yeah.
But it's just like a next level for your son and heir to just be like, yeah, he's useless.
Yeah.
So they gather up Edmure and he is not in good shape.
And he tells Edwin to tell Walder Frey that the crown needs all his prisoners.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
So all the prisoners from the Red Wedding, like,
yeah.
I think a bunch of northern people are within that count. Mark Piper is there. A bunch of other people whose names I can't remember, but isn't the Great John also a prisoner there? Or is it the Small John who's a prisoner?
I'm not sure.
But one of the Umbers. But like basically they've got a whole bunch of prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
And Jaime is taking charge of them now. So what do you think he plans to do with them?
I think at least for some of them he'll probably like give them back to try and relieve some of those Frey Northern River tensions.
Some fraying nerves. Okay. Alright.
Like, because then, because he's got to make sure that his people aren't gonna kill each other off, Yeah. So then at least with that, he can be like, can you just deal with each other so we can get this shit done?
Yeah.
And also I think he recognizes that I think now he's, like, seen the Frey inadequacy in action, so he's like, this is too important to be trusted, like, them to be trusted with them. So I think even if some of them he's planning to keep or something, he just doesn't want the Freys in charge,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So this is, they gather up Edmure, they march him on his way back to Jaime's campsite, and on the way, Jaime notices, like, the singer that Ryman Frey was employing and is like, hey, you come with me as well. I've got a task for you. What did you think it was gonna be when he said this?
I kind of thought it was gonna be, like, a swap or something. Like...
Oh, you didn't think it was just, like, he's just gonna put the Reigns of Castamere radio on?
No, I'd forgotten about that. I'd forgotten about, like, Edmure hating singers or whatever.
Well, does Jaime know Edmure hates singers?
Doesn't he? I thought that was part of it. I didn't think it was just the Reigns of Castamere thing.
I think for Jaime it was maybe just the Reigns of Castamere.
Just to channel his dad and be like, oh, if Jenna could see me now.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. See, I thought I thought this was like a well-known thing, and he was like, "Oh, it's just a singer. What do you mean?"
Okay. All right. Let's get to it. So,
oh no, I thought it was like a body swap. Like he was gonna use he was gonna use it to
the
get
singer instead of Edmure or something?
yeah, like to get like a way to get Edmure away or something.
Like disguise a singer as Edmure and then hang him or something?
Yeah, like something like that.
Okay. Interesting. So anyway, they go back and Edmure is like very confused, like, why? And Jaime's like, first he's like, oh, well, consider it a wedding gift. And he's like, that was the worst day of my life, and even my wife didn't want to do it. It was just like, they made her. Yeah, he's like, well, she's pregnant with my baby. And Jaime's like, no, she's pregnant with your death, basically.
Bro.
So he takes him to his own tent and is like, okay, hey, squires, heat up some bath water, find some clean clothing, get some food. Let's get him cleaned up. And so Edmure takes his bath, and Jaime sits next to him and is like, okay, once you've eaten, my men are going to escort you to River Run. What happens after that is up to you. What I want is for you to yield the castle, and no one will die. People can go as wherever they want. Your uncle can take the Black, and you can also go to the Black. Or no, not go to the Black. You can go to the Wall and take the Black, or you can go to Casterly Rock as my captive and be a hostage of your rank, and you can have your wife there, your kid there, and like if your kid's a boy, we'll set him up with some lands. If it's a girl, we'll get her married off, and it'll be all good. But all you need to do is yield the castle. And Edmure's like, what if I don't? Then Jaime's like, okay, then we'll storm the castle, and we're gonna put all the river lords at the front so that they're the ones to take all the arrows. Then I'm gonna put the Freys, because I've got way too many of those. And then after all the arrows have been used up, my people are gonna come in, the castle's gonna fall, we're gonna kill all your people, tear down the castle, Reigns of Castamere, this shit, you know?
Yeah.
And, oh yeah, just as a bonus, I'm gonna throw your trebuchet, your kid, to you when he's born.
Insane.
Yeah.
Gory.
So, yep, it's like, and also like Pia and his squires are also listening to this conversation. I'm like, what are they thinking? Like,
yeah.
And this is when Jaime's like, oh, wonder what Jenna would think of this. Would she still say that Tyrion was Tywin's son?
My God.
I'm like, I don't know if like emulating Tywin should be the goal here.
Yeah.
Or the lesson we learn.
Yeah.
Like, just earlier today, you were talking about how, like, Tywin's gonna pay for his crimes in heaven or whatever, right?
Exactly. And now you're like, oh, she didn't call me his son. Like, come on, pick a lane.
Yeah. And, yeah, this is when he's like, enjoy your food. Singer, play for our guest while he eats. You know the song I trust. The one about the rain? I know it.
Oh my God.
And then Edmure sees the man for the first time. No, not him. Get him away from me. And Jaime's like, it's just a song. You can't have that bad a voice.
Oh my God.
And that's the end of the chapter.
Slay.
Okay. Now I want to focus on no, not him. Is he saying that just because it's a singer, or...
Who do we know that's a... Okay, did Edmure have beef with, like, a specific guy? Or he just had beef with singers, period?
Well, there was a guy who made a song about his dick, I think. Floppy fish, he called it.
Okay.
Do you remember the guy?
Was it Marillion?
No.
No, I don't remember the guy. Because I remember the singer that Tyrion made a soup out of. I remember Marillion. Oh! Is this the one? Oh, hold on. Didn't you say that, like...
So...
No, hold on. The singer... Was this the one that was with, like, Catelyn and them?
Maybe. Here's what I can tell you or recall for you.
Yeah.
So Tom O7s or Tom of Seven Streams or Tom O7 Strings, or like he's got a few variations of his name, is the guy that runs around with the Brotherhood. And Arya meets him. And he tells a story about how he was the one that made up the song about the floppy fish about Edmure and how Edmure has hated singers ever since.
Right.
So maybe this is him.
Maybe it's him. Yeah,
because
that makes sense.
Edmure seems to like recognize, like he says specifically, no, not him, get him away from me, you know?
Oh my god.
Which would have like a lot of implications. So this is like a man of the Brotherhood who is infiltrated with the Freys and all of this. Yeah. He's now like getting one-on-one time with Edmure. What could that mean?
Yeah. So does Jaime know?
I don't think so.
Or was Jaime's just like, some singer, what do you mean? Why could he be so bad?
I don't think Jaime, like if this is Thomas Evans, I don't think Jaime knows that this is Thomas Evans.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't allow one of the known Brotherhood people within his camp, you know?
Yeah. Oh my god, okay.
So, something to think about.
So everybody, oh my god, okay. So this whole, they really do be splitting up. Like the Brotherhood?
Or do they be colluding?
They could be colluding.
Remember how, like, we know they've been keeping an eye on this siege and, like, they've got campfires lit all around and watchtowers and shit, like...
Right. Yeah, what did they, like, were they on a side? Where were they?
Like, no, they just see, like, fires in the distance, high hills.
Yeah, but in terms of, like, the Brotherhood, like, I know they're like, oh, we stand for the common person, but, like...
Well, if it's Catelyn, I would assume she stands for Riverrun, too.
Right. Yeah, so he could, like, try to get him out, or, like, literally anything. Especially if he's like, oh my god, Jaime! Edmure just loved that song so much.
And then what?
Like, give me more time with him. Oh my god.
Okay. But, like, once he finishes eating, he's going to the castle. It's not a lot of time.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, just something to think about. What will Edmure do?
Edmure will... Well, if it all goes according to plan and he makes it back to Riverrun, I think he'll be like, Dad, we should, like... Not Dad. Uncle, we should, like, give up, you know, whatever. And they'll stop the siege and, like, all these things will happen. But the thing is, like, I don't think...
Wait, who will stop the siege? What?
I think...
So Edmure goes in.
Edmure's like...
So Edmure goes in, he convinces them to lay down their arms.
Yeah.
And then Jaime and everybody has control over the castle because he has handed it over.
I don't think that's gonna happen. I think he's gonna go in and he's gonna be like, let's, like, lay down our arms, and then they'll stop the siege, like, whatever. Or, like, they'll just come in, like, this is what's gonna happen. But I think Brendan's gonna be like, no. And I think he's just gonna be like, no, we're doing this. But who are
the people gonna listen to, Brendan or Edmure? Like, it's the, like, actual guards and the people
but
inside
I still
Riverrun.
think they're gonna listen to Brendan. Because no one takes Edmure seriously, right? Like, that's, like, a literal part of his thing. And if Brendan is like, no, we're doing this, or he, like, if, like, because I don't, like, he might try to convince Edmure otherwise, you know? Or, like, he might just do it anyway and be like, put Edmure in this room, like, we're gonna keep doing this. Like, I feel like Brendan's really set. But then, I guess it also...
So Edmure will try, but it won't work.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's your prediction. Cool. What can I ask you without leading you to an answer?
Do we know anything else about the Tom guy? Like, we know he was the singer, he was with the Brotherhood. Why was a singer sent with the Brotherhood?
They just
wanted
maybe
a
he
singer?
Wasn't sent, maybe he just joined.
Right. Okay. Okay, I'm just trying to think if we know anything else about him.
Okay, well, let's move on to next chapters, okay? So, I believe we're reading 2 next time, so what are your hopes and predictions?
I think Cersei and then an Ironborn person. Maybe Asha?
Interesting. Okay, you got one right.
Ooh.
So we're reading chapters 39 and 40 next time.
Okay.
All right, so chapter 39 is, in fact, Cersei.
Ooh. Slay.
So last time she had just given us the entire story about that she was plotting to kill Marjorie.
Right.
And all of that.
Yeah, I think I'd predicted, like, either she's just gonna be like, kill Marjorie, survive single combat, and then get out of there, or, like, try even harder to seduce her. I do think she might just go with the kill option. I think that might be the plan. So she's gonna get Marjorie killed, and have to deal with the repercussions of that. Maybe we find out more about, like, the Sparrow stuff and how that's going and backfiring on her. Maybe we hear from Dorne. Haven't heard from them in a while.
Like Cersei gets news from Dorne?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. What would the news be?
Because we still didn't get, like,
your daughter's injured. That?
Yeah, like, we still haven't gotten that, right? And we haven't gotten, like...
Well, I think they heard that the knight is dead.
Right.
Eris Oakheart.
Okay.
But maybe they didn't hear about... I think they got the news of Oakheart dying.
Right.
But I don't think she's gotten any news about Marjorie being injured.
Marcella, yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. She wouldn't care about Marjorie being injured.
Yeah. And maybe we'll find out... Wait. Hold on. Loras... We got new... Oh, he was in, like, critical condition, right? That's what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so maybe we'll get more of that news. Maybe we'll find more about Qyburn's freaking human experiment weirdness.
Okay, cool. That's good. Chapter 40.
Mm-hmm.
The Princess in the Tower.
The fuck? Hold on. Well, it could be Asha, right? Or it could
be. Which tower would she be in?
I don't know, like, maybe Euron has her in a tower to prevent her from doing shit, and that's why we didn't see her last time. Or maybe it's...
Apparently, like, what we heard from Victarion was that she absconded.
Oh. Forgot about that. Okay, maybe it's... Sansa?
Did you like that? Did I use that correctly?
I think so.
Do you only abscond with something, or can you abscond... Yeah, you could abscond. Just on. Anytime I've heard the word, it's like absconded with my phone. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, maybe not. Maybe it's Sansa? But, like, is Sansa a princess? Well, I guess if Rob's a king, then Sansa is a princess. But she's not being Sansa right now, though, so that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would be Cat.
Any other princesses we have met?
Marcella.
Sure. Anyone around Marcella?
Ariane.
Yes. Princess of Dorne.
Yeah, and I guess Tower would make sense for her because girlie got captured, trying to fuck shit up. I think she is the most logical option because it can't be Dany, it can't be Arya.
Imagine if you get the Dany chapter as chapter 40 of this book.
Oh my god.
Also, Dany's like queen though.
Yeah, multiple reasons why it can't be Dany. I'm just going through all the, like, girlies that we know. Yeah, I think Ariane makes the most sense.
So what are your predictions for that, then?
Oh, yeah. Well, she's stuck in the tower. Girlie definitely doesn't stop. She's definitely still gonna try to make, like, something happen, like, or, like, try to find... I think she's gonna be a little bit heartbroken. Not over Eris, but, like, over her plans and how they failed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe she'll try to, like, still communicate with Marcella or communicate with her, like, Snake Sand sisters or something, like, I just don't see
snake sand sand snake snake
sand snake sisters, you know. You know how it is. But the thing is, like,
I'm sorry, it just sounded so wrong, and I was like, why does it sound so wrong? And then I had
oh my god. But I do think, like, last time we saw her, she was pretty, like, sad, or like her
distraught,
spirit was really broken. Like, that really took a lot out of her. So maybe we'll just kind of see her trying to build herself back up again. You know, her friends from, like, childhood and stuff, maybe they'll be like, girl, you lost your spunk, let's get that back. Or maybe or maybe we'll see, like, her dad do stupid shit, or, like, you know, I think it'll just be kind of like, we'll just kind of see the results and, like, how Prince Doran decides to handle. And maybe we'll hear more about, like, Old Town and all the things, and money moves.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Money moves.
Okay. All right, that's cool. We have an email. Let's read it. All right, so we have an email from Teresa. It's titled, Just Found Your Podcast.
Aww.
Hi, Nuv. Hi, Harmouth. I recently started to read the A Song of Ice and Fire series and found your podcast a few weeks ago when I was at the end of Game of Thrones. Now I'm in the midst of reading A Clash of Kings with you. Well, you from back in 2022, 3 years ago. Wondering about whatever Tyrion is planning to do with that massive chain.
Stop.
How badly I'll hate on... Remember when you were like, he's gonna tie Joffrey to the throne with the chain? Remember that?
Was that my prediction?
That was definitely one of your predictions.
Oh, God. I hate
how
myself.
badly I'll hate on Theon by the end of this book, and what will happen with Stannis and Renly. I'm already spoiled from them from the HBO show, but it's still exciting to see the differences and new nuances in the books. So, since I'm late to the party, I won't be able to theorize about your current chapters, but who knows? Maybe I'll be all caught up with you by the end of the 5th book. And wouldn't it be fun if we could read the 6th book at the same time? No pressure, George, but a woman can dream. Anyways, I just wanted to say hi and that I enjoy your podcast. All the best, Teresa. Pronouns, Hershey, like the chocolate. Yes, I'm stealing this one.
Oh my god.
Thank you, Teresa.
Hi, new friend. Oh my god. Thanks for writing in.
You're gonna be like years into... Well, I don't know at what pace you listen, but like, it'll be fun when you listen to this email. It'll be like a little down the line.
Yeah.
So send us another one at that point and like catch us up on your thoughts at the time.
Catch us up on your catching up.
Yeah, tell us how much you did hate Theon. Tell us what Tyrion did do with the chain, and tell us what Harmouth's predictions were with the chain, other than the one that I remember.
We don't have to do the last one. Oh god.
We definitely have to do the last one.
That is okay.
Or maybe I don't know. I feel like that was a prediction, or at least I feel like talking or joking about it, but maybe it was just a joking thing and not an actual theory thing.
I honestly think it was something that you suggested to me as a joke.
You know what? That sounds like me.
I genuinely think
that
like I couldn't think of something, and then you were trying to nudge and poke and prod, and you were like, "Oh well, do you think she's gonna tie Joffrey to it? Yeah, he should do that. Serves him right." Like, I think I have a vague memory of this. Like,
you know what? That would be an accurate recollection of many of our conversations. So possibly. But then, so does that mean you had no theories? Okay,
no,
Teresa,
I had
tell us.
other theories, but they were like just kind of stupid. Like, I had like weird ones. Like, I don't remember exactly what, but
all right, yeah, tell us what you think about what he actually did with the chain. Okay, anyway, that's enough. Thank you so much for the email, and I think, well, this is Harmouth's thing, but I feel like you totally have permission to steal the Hershey like the chocolate, or do they not?
Oh my god! Well,
like, do our audience have that permission?
I mean, of course. Yeah, do your thing.
Imagine, okay, Harmouth, wait.
Copywriting
Imagine just like, no. I'm going the opposite direction from this.
Imagine creating an
You're
empire.
at some like...
Sorry.
Shut up and let me say
I know what you're gonna say, and I've thought about this before.
Like, you're at some random conference somewhere, and you're like going around saying your pronouns, and somebody says Hershey like the chocolate, and it's like some listener who never, like, you know?
Yep. I've had
That would be so cool.
I'm so egotistical. I've had that same thought like 20 times.
Well, I will admit it's the first time I've had that thought, but it's a pretty cool thought.
Yeah, I think about that all the time. Like, oh my god.
It would be like, how do you approach that? Like, maybe this person just came up with it by themselves, or maybe so you're like, oh, that's really cool. Where did you get that? And then maybe they'll be like, oh, it's just the silly podcast I listen to. And you can be like, actually, I'm the silly podcast you listen to.
I would just be like, oh, I say that all the time. I'm a hermit, by the way. And then if
and then let them.
And if they want to tell me, they want to tell me, you know?
Yeah. Where did you get it? Did you just come up with it? I actually don't know this. You just started doing this, but I
definitely came up with it because I'm a little evil genius. No, I definitely came up with it because it was one of those, like, you were doing the intro and I was nervous and I just said what I said, you know?
Sure.
And I think it was also, like, the same... Yeah, I think this was the era when, like, I had a really hard time with pronouns. Like, just, like, remembering people's pronouns and, like, remembering to, like, actually apply them and say them. Like, so I think it was, like, I think that combined with just the anxiety of, like, our first couple years of doing the intro and, like, you know that moment when you're about to start and you're like, this has to all go perfectly? It's, like, it was, like, the perfectionist combined with, like, the person who was, like, objectively bad at using pronouns, and the anxieties just created something cute. You know? I think it was like
Lovely.
I think that was just kind of where it came from. Like, I was just dwelling on something stupid, and then, like, my brain was like, Hershey, like the chocolate. Because I think it literally was like, I meant to say she, her, but I was nervous about the intro, and I, like, got hung up on pronouns, and then my brain said her, she, and then my brain said, oh, it's like the chocolate.
Chocolate.
So
yeah,
I think it was just like a weird hang up.
Maybe we should copyright it, but like let our listeners use it, but copyright it for just like our podcast purposes, you know?
Yeah, that would be cute.
So that it's like, if you use it, you better be a listener, you know?
Yeah. No, you guys should absolutely use it. But I just ask that if someone asks you where you got it from, be like the super cool person that I listen to on a podcast. You can also lie. Like, sometimes I'll say, like, oh, I was talking to a friend, but meanwhile, what I'm about to say was from like a YouTube video or something. So if that's what happens, you can do it. But I would...
Because it lends credence if you say friend.
Exactly. As opposed to, I'm somebody who listens to a billion podcasts, and I have my own podcast, like, you know? So, yeah, if that's the case, I understand you not wanting to credit me because you want to keep your cred.
Yeah,
you know?
And if we chat on Discord, like, you can say friends and it not even be an exaggeration. You know?
Exactly. So, like, we are friends. However, I do like the idea of, like, someone, like, in Spain being like, yeah, I listened to this, like, random girl hermit on a podcast and I got it from her. Like, just the attention seeker in me loves the idea of being credited across the world. So, if you do want to credit me, I wouldn't mind, but obviously you're free to use it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, she would prefer specifically APA guidelines. No other bullshit, please. Okay, so, all right, since just one quick thing. So, for the last few episodes, I've been meaning to just point out, our listeners on Discord have been, like, pointing out some things for us, and I'm like, oh, those are useful. Let's talk about them a little bit. First is from Alex on November 27th, and Alex pointed out and importantly, remember when I told you the crow's eye is was potentially the three-eyed crow's disciple or something or other, and literally his name is Crow's Eye, and we like totally failed to make that connection. But thank you, Alex, for pointing that out. That was important. And then on December 30th, MS Rose clarified that Oberyn might so we were talking about poisons in Arya's chapter, and I think I said Tears of Lys was a poison that Oberyn used, but apparently it isn't. There's a different one, and it's called it doesn't say what it's called, but it was one from Pycelle's, like, Oh, it's called Widow's Blood. It literally says there. Sorry, MS Rose, I just can't read. So we see Tears of Lys in Arya's chapter, but the one Oberyn likely used was Widow's Blood. So there was just like, those were like kind of couple noteworthy corrections, you know? I don't know. Especially us not like being like
crow's eye. When I read that, I was so embarrassed for us. I was like, what the heck are we doing?
Yeah, so like please correct us. Like we welcome it. Some like I read it and then I correct it in my brain, and most 80% of the time it stays corrected. 20% of the time it does not. But yeah, we appreciate those things. And send us more emails. Our email is popculturesymposium@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram @popculturesymposium. And of course, join the Discord. And we'll try to have like more social activities like this this watch party we're doing tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. It's like our first one, but I'm excited. And Harmut's gonna do the logistics, so I don't have to worry about that. So yay. So until next time, farewell, my friends.
Talk to you later.